Hi there, this is Christine with the Outdoor Education Centers here at a beautiful pond this morning. The sun is shining, and I want to go over a little bit of information with you on how to pond dip. Some ponds have a lot of water right now. Some, like this one, are starting to dry up, but there's still amazing creatures living in the pond. So a couple of tools that you might need, or will need: a bucket to hold your creatures. Light colored buckets work best because you can then see the creatures that are inside. Having a net to be able to capture things, and having some sort of way to identify what you are finding, maybe a field guide or an identification card, or even just iNaturalist, we've talked about that in the past, would also be amazing. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you and any littles that you might have with you are staying safe. We like to say that you should be on your bum or your belly so that we don't have anyone falling into the pond. The first thing you're going to want to do is fill up your bucket. So the best way to do this is, even having an adult do it, you're just going to dip it into the water. Having the water from the source is best. It does look a little tinged here, a little bit like tea, because we have leaves that fall into the pond and do color the water a little bit. Once you have some water in your bucket, then you can start exploring. Having your bucket in a safe place where no one's going to kick it or knock it is great, because you want to keep these creatures safe and treat them with respect, because they are living beings. With your net, what you want to do is you want to just kind of glide it through the water. So I'm just going to kind of lean over, kind of more on my side than my bum here. And once I bring my net, I'm going to bring it into my bucket or over to my bucket, and I'm going to flip it over and just turn it inside out and dip it into my water. Now, I may or may not have creatures, so you want to do this multiple times. Sometimes just lying down and watching the water for movement is also awesome. I can see a little creature moving. It's moving really quickly. I cannot promise I'm going to catch it, but scanning back and forth, or if I see something moving, I don't know if I caught that. That was something moving really quickly. So to be able to tell, I'm going to just dip it here into my bucket. Sometimes this really is an exercise in patience. So really littles, you know, they like seeing the big things, but your older students can lie here longer, watching for movement. Oh, I see something, I think. I don't know. Yep, I get some squirming in my net. We have found some amazing creatures. I'm so excited. Something that's useful to have is a little guide, if you can have it. This one is from Ducks Unlimited, ducks.ca, and it shows a lot of creatures that we find most often in the pond, not all the time. Sometimes, depending on the time of year, we'll find some of these creatures or we won't find some of these creatures. And we definitely haven't found them all today, but this helps. Before we return our creatures to the pond, there's a couple of things you want to make sure. You want to make sure that your net doesn't have any creatures in it. So you can always kind of give it a little tap or just pick off any debris so that you're not taking any creatures back home with you. We do want these creatures to live safely and happily where they belong in the pond. To return our bucket back to the water, you want to actually lower the bucket onto the surface of the water. When we're doing that, we're just going to take it very carefully, and we're going to float it on the surface of the water first, and then we're just going to tilt the bucket to allow the creatures to swim back into the pond, very gently, not causing them any harm. No waterfalls. Now you'll notice we have quite a few little snails who have attached themselves to our bucket. So I'm going to take a little bit of water. I'm going to swish it around a little bit. As long as you're not shy, you can pick them off. Making sure that all your creatures are back in the water. Again, we don't want to kill them taking them home with us. And then we'll just gently do the same thing, just swim them, float them back into the water. Thanks so much for joining us as we explored our local pond. Be sure to get outside and stay safe.